Hey, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I can see lots of people already watching us here. And because we're always streaming to his channel, so let's not delay this and let's me bring here the amazing Frank Delaporte. So, hey, Frank, how you doing, man?
Hello, good evening from my side, from Belgium.
Okay, cool, man. So you're there in Belgium. Now, so for everyone watching us here, this whole thing started because me and Frank were speaking at the amazing conference. J Spring is going to be my first time there. Have you been to J Spring before, Frank?
No, but I was at JFOL. That's the same organizers, the
Hmm.
NLJUC. So that was
Yes.
in November, last November. And
Yes.
yeah, it was really nice conference, nice people, very good organization. So yeah, looking forward to J Spring.
That's awesome. Well, if there's one thing that the NL Jug excels at, right, this organization, man, those guys
Mhm.
are a machine. That's awesome. So it's going to be my first time on J Spring too. So that's going to be great. And Frank was noticing on Twitter, right, that me and him and some other speakers, right, we're sharing the same slot, right? So we can't watch each other's talk, but for you, there's going to be a J Spring. It's going to be a tough choice. So we decided to do this get together and have a little chat about our talks, about technology, about something that you want to see, about some discussion that you want to have, and then you don't have to choose, right? So you can come here, we can talk, we can have discussions, and then we go with that, right? So Frank, can you tell us a little bit about how it's going to be your talk, and I mean what you talk about
Um,
at J Spring?
but it's even worse that we not only share the same slot, we also have the final slot. That means
Yes.
it's
Yes.
us, it's us blocking the people from eating and drinking. So it will be hard. Now, I will be talking about Py4j, which is an open source project I'm involved in mainly for the documentation part. It's using Java on the Raspberry Pi and interacting with electronics. And I've done a session at JFOL, so in November, where I explained about the status of the project, what you can do with it, showing a very minimal example, blinking a LED. Um, but yeah, because I got invited for J Spring, it's not only Spring the season. I was thinking, yeah, let's also do something with Spring the framework
Nice.
um, on the Raspberry Pi. Of course, that's my main pet project. Um, and I do love Vaadin to build user interfaces. So I had already prepared something. I blogged about it on Fuji some time ago about a very basic example. The same thing, blinking a LED with Vaadin, a web interface on the Raspberry Pi. But now I'm taking it a bit further. So I've prepared something. I'm challenging the Wi-Fi conference gods. Um, I know that's a very bad idea. I've never done real live coding, so I'm going a step further. I'm gonna run a Raspberry Pi, and that's the idea, on the Wi-Fi of the conference
Mhm.
and invite everyone to interact with my Raspberry Pi.
Okay.
What can go wrong?
Yes. Well, maybe the question is what can go right, and I think I know what can go right. Like everyone can love it, right? No
Well,
matter what goes wrong, everyone can love the presentation, right? So how about that?
that's the idea. And I have the system up and running here. I can show you. So what I have here,
Okay, wait,
um,
wait. So before, let me just
yeah.
say so really quick here, because then I when you share your
Mhm.
screen, I'm gonna disappear from here. But so everyone, we want to make this as interactive conversation as possible. So send us your questions. Send us your situation, whatever you want to discuss here, and so we can go over that. But let's take a look at what Frank's have.
Also, and first, maybe tell what you will be talking about at J Spring.
Oh, my talking about J Spring. So actually, Igor is saying hello from Dublin. Hey, Igor, how you doing there? Right? Hopefully, they'll put the task on YouTube later, right? Yeah, the talks, right? I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know about that, right? So let's see. So Danielle is from Mexico City. Oh, awesome. All right, so we already have some. So guys, send us your questions, right? So my talk at J Spring is going to be how to grow beyond senior developer, right? And I think that's lovely because that's what you're doing right now, right, Frank? You're an evangelist, you travel around the world, right? You do podcasts, you do cool stuff, cool projects, and And so I love this, right? Because I think that when you go beyond senior, we have to be more autonomous. We have to go after our own projects. We have to go after, things that we really love to do and that bring results for the company. So when you're able to do that, right, that's what I want. I want everyone to go work with Pie4j and Raspberry Pi and Vaadin and Spring and all those kind of things, and do this because that's something that you guys want to do, right? Hey, Andres from Lima, Peru, right? So yes, that's cool, man. So we have people from all over the world already here. So that's awesome. Okay, guys. So bring your questions. Okay, so what do you want to see? So let's take a look at what Frank's going to show at JSpring. Come on, Frank, show us.
I'm going to show a bit what I have here behind me. That's my experimentation table.
Cool,
and these are crow pies. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's a Chinese, Elcrow is the company that makes these. And actually it's a little suitcase. And as you can see, it has a Raspberry Pi on the left and a bunch of components. And so the idea behind this little suitcase is that you can make a project. So it has example code, but mainly in Python, to interact with all these components. And you cannot mess up the components because they're already wired. So you just, if it doesn't work, it's your code, which is a mess.
All right, I see. That's cool, man. And
the idea,
it looks like a little, James Bond's kind of suitcase, man. It looks so awesome.
And that's what I already told it a few times at the conference. I don't dare to take this with me in my hand luggage in a plane. Because this is exactly how they make a bomb in a movie. It's a little suitcase with a little screen and this countdown timer and stuff like that. So someone challenged me, take it with you to an airport and make sure that it's powered and counting down.
Right, exactly.
We're never going to do that.
You would have. Well, but you know what? Put that little smile face right there. And people think, it's a smiley, so it should be good.
Could be good. But what the fun thing about this Pie4j project, it's something which is also used by a Swiss university, FHNW University, and they use it there for the students to learn both programming, just backend stuff, but also user interfaces with JavaFX, and also electronics and Linux and all that on a Raspberry Pi. I think it was 2 years ago, 2 students worked a full year on a project where each of these components were controlled with Java. And they contributed all this code to the Pie4j project, which means I have a bunch of stuff there, and we all have, because it's on GitHub, of course. We have a bunch of stuff there to experiment very fast. And that's exactly what I've done. So I've taken this code that these guys made, and I added it to a Vaadin application, which is on my GitHub again. So again, everyone can take it from there. I had a problem earlier this morning. I was not happy. I asked it in the Discord of Vaadin. 2 people helped me out immediately. So my problem is solved. So I really like the framework. I like what we know from the Java community. You can just reach out. There are a bunch of people willing there to help you. I don't know how I need to share a link here. Let me try through YouTube if everyone sees this now.
So if you want to share on the private chat, I can copy to everyone, because then it gets, we're streaming this to all kinds of places, right? So that's
it. So another thing I discovered this week is NGRock. It's some kind of little tool that you install on your PC, and it can expose a port to the outside world. So you don't need to set up firewalls and port forwarding and all this amazing boring stuff that never works. So if you follow this link and you can end up on a screen where you have to say, yes, take me there, then that means that you will have the same Vaadin interface that I have here. And this interface is actually used to control this device. So I have no clue if people already tried the link, but if they do and they select something on, for instance, the LED matrix.
So just making sure, right? Everyone has to go on this link right here, so they can control live right now. That's the idea, right?
That's the idea. So they end up on the Vaadin application, which is running on that Raspberry Pi. Someone set it to full now. That was not me.
Okay, cool. All right.
So you
have
different pages there. So and what you also see is that this Vaadin application sends back the events to the interface. So if I now open this, so you see that our LED matrix, someone else pushed on full cross and arrow up. I don't know who did this, but I see in my log that someone did this on my web interface. And
yes, I can see the interface, and I see lots of information here. So do you want to?
So you have different pages, so you can put a text. You can put a text on the LED LCD display.
Yeah, I'm gonna do Bruno here. Let's see. Oh, someone said Souza. All right. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna set row 1 as to Bruno. That's cool. All right. I'm not sure. Did it work?
Yeah.
So
yeah, but I think there are different people now. I see
right,
that someone used from Lima Pura, Peru.
Right, yes, I can see. Yeah, so I can see now that it's. I was looking for the big the LED matrix, right? So but that's good. Okay, cool. I see now.
And the 7 segments is the clock thing that you see on the right. So
right. I'm gonna put a B on the LED matrix there.
Wow.
Okay, cool. That's awesome, man. All right.
We have some delay on the streaming, so I have no idea when people are clicking on this. But
yes.
Actually, I was hoping to do this at some point this week or next week to test if my Vaadin was actually working with multiple users at the same time. And then you invited me for this live. So, perfect.
Yes, and it works, right? So we have lots of people doing it, right? And
I think I can even see. So there are 8 active users in this Vaadin application, and it's using 17 megabytes of memory. And CPU usage is 1%. So, and that's what for a lot of people is amazing is that this Raspberry Pi, this is now a Raspberry Pi 4 with 8 gigabytes, I think, of memory. So it is a board of $90, $100 euro, something like that, which is way less than any big server we are all using in the cloud or on premise.
Yeah.
But that you can do all the things that we as Java developers are used to do, we can do this on this very small board.
Yeah, that's cool. So we got some comments here. So Daniel was asking exactly about this. So is this GraalVM compiled to use so little memory?
Nope. It's just Spring Java jar. And I can show the HTOP here. But I'm not sure about this memory here.
Well, there's an info link, right? Can you pay Pi4j info version runtime? There's no memory here. So, no, but it is running the Azul system Zulu VM, right? So that's great.
Yeah, I'm working at Azul. What system do you think I'm using?
Well, I'm just pointing this out, man.
Now, I have to be honest. So the whole system memory here there is 860 megabytes of memory being used. No, it's a Raspberry Pi 4 with only 2 gigabytes of memory. I was wrong.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, and yeah, this just works. The only thing, the startup is a bit longer than on a big server, of course. I'm sure going native would speed it up a lot more. But on the other hand, I can show you this. I have actually 2 of these CrowPis. The other one, there I'm experimenting with the latest Azul Zulu build, SDK 17, which has crack, like Igor is just asking.
Yeah.
So yeah, someone is saying 1 gigabyte. I have here, you know, the Raspberry Pi Zero. One moment.
Okay, so
You know this Raspberry Pi Zero? This is only $15. It has a half 512 megabytes of memory, indeed, but this also runs Spring.
that's cool, man.
It's a quad core, so the latest one has a quad core processor. So you actually don't see a lot of differences, but it's version 1 and 2. This runs all the Java stuff that we are used to, and that's why I love the Raspberry Pi so much. If you want to do experiments, if you want to play around with different Java versions, limit memory, arguments, whatever, if you mess up the Linux, you just take out the SD card, you burn it again, and you start over.
Again, right? Yes, that's cool.
I have some Ansible scripts, but I most of the time don't need them even more to configure a bunch of stuff, and you're back on track again. SDKman to switch between Java versions. It also works on Raspberry Pi because I contributed a few changes not so long ago, but like Gerrit Grunwald, he has this API with all the builds of all the distributors, all the versions, all the parameters. So even on the old Raspberry Pi 1, Raspberry Pi Zero, which has an older ARM processor, there's only Zulu is working there, but you have Zulu, I think 8 and 11 that run on that system. So write once, run everywhere, as Java promises. That's really true. You can build amazing stuff on a very, very cheap PC.
That's cool, man. That's really cool.
Is this the latest version of Spring? Yes, this is the latest version of Spring, the latest version of Vaadin. Where is my... Let me go to the POM. It's Vaadin 2404, and it's Spring Boot Starter 306. But I will share the link to the GitHub project.
Yeah, so let me just kind of go here. Hey, Max is here too. So hey, Max, how you doing? So Andres is saying I love with them too, but never played with Pi Zero. Right, so that's good. Actually, Andres has some interesting comments here, right? So he says, first of all, he said I'm involved in a project where we program in Java for a Raspberry Pi for a kind of IoT project, right? Didn't know about Pi4J, so maybe you can talk a little bit about it. Andres is from Uruguay, but he then says that we have the project running on a Raspberry Pi with 1 gigabyte or even a 512 gigabytes, right, with Spring. So, okay, so let me just put this. So that's Frank's. I'm gonna put here, guys, in the chat. Frank's GitHub account, right, where you can see some Vaadin examples there.
Yeah, so this is the full project that's now running that people can access through this link, and that's the project that they see.
And then that's Pi4J right here, right? Pi4J. There's a Pi4J link right there. Let me just kind of get that on the screen so we can all see that. All right. Okay.
So what is Pi4J? So it's a Java library to interact with these pins. So with these 40 pins of the Raspberry Pi, so a few of them give constant 3 volt, 5 volt. Other ones, you can really control them. And you have different electronics protocols. You can just, for a LED, blink a LED is just turning it on and off. But then you have SPI, I2C, PWM, and the library takes care of that. So you just define a Java object, being a digital input or an output or a PWM or whatever, and then you can interact with just Java code. And that's what Pi4J aims to do. Now, the website, and that's actually how I got involved into this project. So there was a Pi4J version 2, waiting to be released. That happened August last year. I created a new website with a lot of documentation, and the idea is a bit that this website is the starting point for everything related to Java on Raspberry Pi. So even if you don't want to interact with these pins, you can find information about SDKman, how to use GBang with an example, how you run JavaFX on a Raspberry Pi. And one of the very cool use cases here is kiosk mode. So that means that your Linux system boots in terminal mode, so you don't have a desktop interface, but then you start your JavaFX application, which means that if you use this as a kiosk, as some kind of touch thing, that people cannot interact with the system, so they cannot format C like they would do in the early days of kiosks. So they cannot open the browser, they cannot restart the device, they cannot open a text editor and do something stupid. It's just only your application which is running. And you can do really performant things there. And also, just like Java keeps evolving, JavaFX also keeps evolving and has had some really good improvements for this kind of embedded small devices.
Nice.
It's really performant there.
That's awesome, man. Okay, so that's actually, maybe that's a good moment for us to show your book, right? You know, because, so guys, if anyone wants, that is that your book, Frank? You know, send me a link here.
I started, the idea was I wanted a touchscreen controller for the drum boot of my son. And I had no idea how to do that. So I started with Python because I know with Python I can interact with RLS and put things on and off. But yeah, I'm a Java developer. So I started experimenting with Java, JavaFX. There was not a lot of documentation. So by the time I was able to create a project for my son, I actually has written a book. Because I've done experiments with electronics as a teenager, which is a long time ago, unfortunately. But then I was in the software world, and it was really nice to go back to this. At the first time you have a blinking LED with Java, that's a big milestone.
It is, right?
It's like the first line of Hello World that you get out of a new programming language. That's the same feeling with the blinking LED. Java FX is someone asking.
How's?
We'll also.
JavaFX, not Java.
Yeah, I will also, if you can add a link to JFX Central, which is a very good starting place for everyone interested in building user interface applications with Java. About the book. So this book was finished. I was thinking about doing jugs and conferences, and that was exactly the same moment that some stupid virus decided to take over the world. So I got lucky on one side that I was able to do some talks all around the world virtually. But actually, the book was released, I think, April when the COVID hit. So, but now, last year I was at Devoxx in Belgium. I was in JFOL, not a few other virtual conferences and Jugs and Vox days. So it's nice to be able to talk about this and to
real audience, right? I mean, not real, but it's like to in-person audience, right? Yes, that's cool. And okay, cool. So guys, take a look at Frank's book right there. I also put the link on the chat if you can't get the QR codes, but it's getting started with Java on the Raspberry Pi. So if you go to the page, it has a video introducing the book, and so you can take a look more about that. And I'm sure all the source code, right, is there.
Of course.
And so you can just kind of go ahead and run the thing like this. Awesome. All right. So Frank, that's what you intend to show on JSpring, right? So you're going to show, I mean, of course, you showed some things here, but you're going to show the code. How is your talk going to go? You're going to go more on the code, or let people interact with it, let people help get started? Is your talk for someone that's already using a Raspberry Pi, someone that's just starting?
But the idea is a bit, if you know how to use Linux, and I think most developers do, then actually you're able to use the Raspberry Pi.
Right.
So I just want to show you that you can do exactly the same things as you do as a Java developer daily on a Raspberry Pi if you want to do some experiments. So what I'm going to talk about is what is a Raspberry Pi for people who shouldn't know it. Then there is a nice story in the availability of Raspberry Pis, which has been a big issue the last 2 years almost, because because of Corona again, there was a chip shortage. So Raspberry Pi, the company, had a lot of problems producing enough Raspberry Pis. They cannot keep up with the demand. So they are now ramping up the production again, and they are targeting to, I think, 1 million devices per. Yeah, indeed, Andres. Luckily, you bought one in 2019. But I don't know if you know rpilocator.org or .com. I don't know exactly. Let me quickly look it up for you. rpilocator.com is a website which helps you to find availability of Raspberry Pis, because you have to be very careful. You can find them on eBay, no problem. But you will pay 3, 4, 5, 10 times the official price. So there are really people buying stock and trying to sell them at a much higher price.
Yeah.
But rpilocator.com is a website that monitors the official dealers. And official dealers work on the official prices. And I see now there are Raspberry Pi 4's model B 8 gigabytes available, I think in India, which has been a long time since we've seen these available. And Jeff Gerling, who is a YouTuber who does a lot about Raspberry Pi, he has a terrific movie about the production. So they are made in England. It's an English company, and they are really made in England, also in a Sunny factory. And there is a very nice movie. So that's part of the story I want to tell about availability, what versions you have, what prices that you have, what you can do with it. And then I will go through a bit of the code, which is the combination of Vaadin, Spring, and Py4j, and then show this example. Go into the few of the code, how do you construct a button listener, for instance. And then we'll see if the Wi-Fi of the conference is cooperating, if I can put this device on the Wi-Fi and if everyone can access it, or a few people or whatever. But yeah, I've tested this earlier today with this link that we've shared here too. And that link, for instance, works perfectly even on mobile phone, because Vaadin is mobile friendly by design. So that's part of the story. What I also want to include in my story, I always do that, is Fuji.io.
Yes, you do have here.
And there's a link here that you can also share, because Fuji is a website for the friends of OpenJDK. And I think we are all friends of OpenJDK. It was started by Azul, I think already 3 years ago, but it has grown very fast to be a team effort of the whole community around Java. I think there are more than 150 people contributing content on a daily basis. So at least one article is published per day related to Java or OpenJDK or Kotlin or everything related to OpenJDK. You have all the versions there. You have the command lines there. Chris who codes, his work is on there. So, and I have a section or a category about Raspberry Pi. So my articles are there. But we also have the podcasts. You were in one of those podcasts about Chuck. So this website is really a starting place for everyone who is interested in Java or OpenJDK, wants to learn about it. So I really want to invite everyone also to that website. So I hope everyone is still interested in my talk now. Conference, and they won't think, yeah, we heard everything, we can now go to Bruno's session.
No. Actually, we're going to talk about my session here because there's a question there, but I think that the whole idea, right, is that we actually now everyone wants to go to your session, right, and not to mine, right? Because what's going to be better than playing around with cool 007 style suitcases and and kind of developing like a walking bomb right there. Be careful with that, man. All right. So Igor says, grow your career from 0 to pi. Yes.
By the way, Igor is one of those people who is also doing a lot of Java on Raspberry Pi, and you can also find articles of him on Fujay.
Yes, that's cool. All right, so let me just kind of use this as like as a segue. Then I can talk a little bit about the other questions here. But Fujay, I love Fujay because you guys are doing the right thing there, right? That's actually getting the community involved. And I'm just amazed about the number of people that you said here. Almost 200 people there contributing to content, all that. So how people here can participate? Can everyone submit an article or tell us a little bit more about how? Because I think that's we're doing cool stuff, we're doing interesting projects, and we want to share with other people. So Fujay is a great place. So how to do that?
So if you go to Fujay, and I think it's even on the homepage, let me quickly check it. So it's a WordPress site. So I think most people know how to use WordPress or write content. Yeah. So on WordPress, on the homepage of Fujay, you have on the right, you have what's new, and there you have how to submit your next article on Fujay. It's even a description how you do that. And we discuss everything related to the content and what's happening on Fujay on Slack. So you can join also the Slack. So that's also somewhere at Fujay Slack. It's also in the what's new section. So what is the idea? Of course, we like to have exclusive content on Fujay. But a lot of the content is republished content. So someone has already written a great article about something about Java. But you can just republish it on Fujay. You can add a canonical link. I don't know if you know that, but that's a link back to the original article to make sure that you're not punished by the search engines because the same content is found on different pages, on different addresses. But we all have that in the system, and you can see, so we have a Java Quick Start tutorial. The Java Quick Start tutorial is even one that is based on my book. It's just a half hour of videos about how you get started with Java if you're really new. But yeah, you have a lot of content here. So if you look into the menu on the top, OpenJDK Hub, so you have the quick start download. The download will take you to a page where you find all the distributions. So it's the site was started by Azul, but it's not an Azul site. Don't keep this in mind. So you will see with the distributions, it takes a bit of time to load, but all the distributors are there and all the versions. So this is driven by the Disco API. The Disco API is a project by Gerrit Grunwald, which polls all the distributors and asks for the versions. So he has a database with all the versions of Java that you can find. And that's again the same API which is used by SDKman. So if you have used SDKman on your Linux and Mac PC, or does it work on Windows? I don't know. Anyhow, if you use SDKman to switch between Java versions, is the same API. I don't know why it happens, but if you open and close distributions, now they are there. So you see, you have everyone there. So you have Microsoft, you have Liberica, you have Submachine also is there, Temurin. So all the distributions are there. So if you're looking for a specific version, 20.0 something or 17.05, you will find it there. So you have a lot of ways to filter that. So if you close the distributions, you have the minus sign there, right from the distributions, and then the options, a lot of options. So if you need Java Fix or not included, which is a major version, an update level, you see it there. So if you want to install it on an ARM 64-bit system like the Raspberry Pi, you can filter it out here too. But I just use SD Kalman. I find that easier. But this is, for instance, if you want a specific version to put into your CI/CD flow, you will definitely find it here. But this is only one of the things that Fujii wants to provide. So it is a starting point for everything related to Java.
Right.
I think you filtered too much. You made it too
Yes,
complex.
I was trying to figure out I was trying to filter to something unique, but even if you filter too much, you still have lots of options, right?
Yeah.
So that's great.
And
Yeah,
this is one of the great things, and that there is such a big community building community and companies
mhm.
both building these distributions. So
Right.
also in the OpenJDK hub, you have releases, you have command line flags. All this information is there. If you go to the top menu again,
Yeah, go.
you'll find it. And then the community hub is
Community hub right here. Yeah.
yeah. So you have the Fujii Today. These are the articles.
Mhm.
Then the forum is pretty new, so not a lot is happening there yet, but we hope to improve that. Java events, a list with all the user groups, a list with all the champions. So everything that you want to know about Java, you can find it here. And in the About section, you can also find that there is a whole an advisory board, different companies driving this Fujii initiative.
That's cool. All
And
right.
there are new things coming. There is a certification program that you can really test Java knowledge.
Let me just say here we have, okay, so let me just kind of find here. We have Max from SoJava right here, right? So let me see here, Max. Max, we need more information here, man, about SoJava, right? Because Max is here, right? So, let me also see here doubling, right? Because Igor is here, right? So yes, it has the dates, right? Okay, cool. All right.
This list is maintained by, I think, Geert-Jan. So if they contact him, it will be updated in a blink of an eye.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So that's very good. And I love the fact that you guys have like a little bird as a mascot, right? At some point we gotta get Fujii to meet Juggy.
Okay.
All right. Okay, guys. So everyone, not only come to Fujii, but come here, contribute, submit your articles, submit improvements for the pages and JavaScript groups, all that, right? Because you want.
Yeah, and join the Slack if you want to join the discussion and learn. Yeah, there is a whole lot of people of the Java community are also in the Slack channel. So
cool. That's awesome. That's great. So now, just kind of with that amazing information there, right? So, where's the question that I think Igor asked, right? So, can I use Raspberry Pi to grow my career, Bruno? Right? Yes, you can, right? As you can see, Frank here has not only written books, but he has articles in other places there by using Raspberry Pi. So the most important thing is not necessarily the technology you're using, right? But it's actually being able to go and share with people, show what you're doing, help others. I have this saying that you can get anything you want in your life, Igor, if you help enough people get what they want in life, right? So that's what you should be doing, right? You should figure out ways of whatever technology, whatever passion that you have, how you can turn that passion into ways to help other people. There's a great saying from this guy called Adam Rifkin. Adam Rifkin is one of the top networkers in the world, right? So at some point, I'm not sure how he's right now, but at some point he only had less LinkedIn connections than the LinkedIn founder, right? So he's like the second top LinkedIn user of all time. So Adam Rifkin has this saying that he says, when you have nothing, what do you do, right? You find a way to make one relationship, to make one connection, so you can help one person, and then you go from there, right? So, and I think that's that's how you do. That I think that's how we do in our careers, right? You build connections. I'm here with Frank. Frank interviewed me like 3 weeks ago or something like this, and we have a great conversation. And we've matched in events before. Then now we're having a conversation right here, right? So I'm helping Frank share his knowledge with you. Frank is helping me share my knowledge with you. We're both going to be sharing knowledge at the JSpring conference. And by doing this, Igor, that's what we do, because then we grow our reputation. We get more. Actually, Frank's putting here the link for the podcast. Thanks, Frank.
Indeed.
Right.
I'm convinced that by writing the book, I was a Java developer. I've used Spring. I've used many other tools. So I was an experienced developer, but then still people don't know you. They never seen your code.
Mhm.
And by going public, although it was with fun projects on the Raspberry Pi, I actually got a job at a startup where they were using Raspberry Pis in 3D printers and robots and other stuff and Java stuff. And when I was looking for another new job, and I was talking to Geert-Jan, who is managing Fujay, and I said, "Yeah, I love writing." Then suddenly I became a technical writer at Azul. So I'm sure that the book helped me in my journey from one job to another. So yes, it can help you.
Yes, because it's all about reputation, guys. When you build a reputation, so I like to say reputation is what people believe about you, right? And as Frank just said, you can write amazing codes, but no one sees it. No one knows who you are just because you wrote lots of amazing code, right? So you have to go out there. You have to talk to people. You have to show your code, right? You have to show your work. There's actually a great book called Show Your Work that has, it's a short book, amazing book that talks about, 10 steps for you to show your work. And so, you have to show your code, have to show your work. And lots of people think, yeah, Bruno, but I do put my code on GitHub, right? And the fact that you just put it there doesn't mean that anyone sees it, right? Doesn't mean that anyone uses it. So you have to do like one step more. You have to start being visible. So the thing I'm going to discuss in my talk, right, is exactly those three things. Reputation and how you build trust. I think reputation and trust are not the same thing, but they're very similar. They go very well together. Trust is larger than reputation. But reputation is very important. Trust and reputation goes hand in hand. And and since reputation is what people believe about you, if they don't know you, if they don't see you, if they have no idea who you are, what do they believe about you, right? They believe nothing about you, right? So you have no reputation. So visibility, it's also something that you have that also goes hand in hand, right? Trust, reputation, and visibility are three different things, but they go hand in hand together because people can only trust you when they see you. And then, Raymond here saying my work is covered by NDAs. And so only people that know you on your job, on your work, can actually see your work, right? But that's you can still build reputation and visibility on that small group of people. And that's important for probably for your work, Raymond. But here's the thing, although your work is covered under NDA, your knowledge, Raymond, it's not, right? So you can learn things on your work. You can learn technologies. You can learn, you can solve problems. You can do all of that. And then you can share those things. You don't share your work specifically, Raymond. I'm just going to put this. So you don't share your work specifically, Raymond, but you share your knowledge, right? You share your experiences. You share, Bruno, even I'm working such a crazy place that even the technology that I learn are under NDA. That's okay. But how you learn those technologies, it's your knowledge of learning things. So that is not under NDA. So even if you can't even talk about the technology you use, you can still talk about how you learn new things, how you solve problems, how you work with people, how you interact with your boss. I mean, all those things, right, is our experience that you have, Raymond, that that you should go and share, right? So you should be visible, even if your work itself cannot be visible. And honestly, guys, most of the code that we write, unless you're working on an open source project on an open source company that everything that they do is open and available, what's rare, right? It's a small amount of people that in that situation. Most of our code is invisible, right? It is on a repository somewhere inside a customer, inside a client, inside your own company that no one can see. And even if it's you want to make it available at some point, maybe it's not available right now, right? Because it's going to be something that's going to be available in the future. So most of our code is invisible. So if you rely on only your code to build a reputation, to build a visibility, then what's going to happen is that no one's going to see it, right? And so
a podcast that I just listened to is great code isn't enough. Developers need to brag about it.
Yes, that's
It's from
cool.
the Stack Overflow podcast from 16th of May. That was exactly this story.
Cool.
You need to be proud of what you've built, but if you're proud but don't tell about it, nobody will know.
Yes.
Nobody will understand how genius you were to solve this specific problem and what your genius solution was to get it solved.
Right. Yeah, we have a saying in Brazil, Frank, that I don't think it translates very well. It's a little crude saying, but it says that it's not enough to lay an egg. You have to announce it, right? You have to cocorico, right? You have to announce it, right? Mm-hmm. So and that's the same thing, right? Brag without to astrosurfing, though, right? Surfing, okay, so what is astrosurfing? That's a good question. That's
I think you don't have to exaggerate.
Oh, exaggerate, right?
Yeah, well, something like that. Yeah, you have to be proud of what you've done, but you should definitely not break the work that someone else has done and you improved it. You should not tell what you did there was very stupid. Maybe it was, but you never tell that. You still have to. Yeah. You also have to be polite. That's also part of this podcast. It's also about how you're socially interacting with other people. That makes your reputation.
So here's a trick, right? For you to not astroturfing. There, I don't know what it is, right? But it's not about you. So APR, it's not about you, man. I know you've done amazing things. I'm assuming that's the APR. I think it is, right? But so you've done lots of amazing things, APR, with JPOS, right? But yes, I think it's you, right? So we've done lots of amazing things with JPOS, APR, and so. But one of the things, and this APR, right? It's not about you, right? I can easily assume that a lot of people know JPOS, but have no idea about who APR is, right? And I just talked to him a few days ago, right? And I was one of them, right? I used JPOS for a long time, but I had never met him. And so when you do things, it's not about you, it's about others, it's about people, right? So, for example, Frank was talking about a Fuji, and he said, Fuji was created by a zoo, but it's not a zoo. It's not only a zoo. I mean, a zoo is there, but they're doing it for the community. They're doing thinking on others. When you do it thinking on others, then what happens that, you have a much less problems with, okay, so APR put here, astrosurfing is the deceptive practice of presenting an orchestrated marketing or public relations campaign in the guise of unsolicited comments from members of the public. Oh, okay, right. So, so you're here. So I would imagine this, right? Astrosurfing would be APR coming here and you start asking, oh, guys, can I use a Raspberry Pi with JPOS, right? Yeah, and so yes, I have this link here about APR. So then he would do astrosurfing, right? Astroturfing. He would be commenting about his own product or his own things when for us here. But the whole point is, if you're thinking about others, man, if you're actually helping people achieve what they want, then what would be is that you know, the more you think about others, right? That's an interesting thing. The more you think about others, the less you talk about yourself, the more people you attract, right? So, so yes, you know, you can do a lot of things, APR, without necessarily doing, you know, is not necessarily talking too much about you, or just kind of doing over abusive marketing. I doubt someone using JPOS doesn't know APR, right? Well, it was me a few years ago, right? I know him now. There's a guy that actually developed JPOS using Raspberry Pi. That's cool. You, Andres, right? You're talking about this, right? You're talking about using Raspberry Pi, and you use JPOS. So that's you.
I interviewed
on Raspberry Pi. Okay,
yeah,
for Raspberry Pi. Cool.
I interviewed an Italian student, 16, who's creating his own 3D engine in Java FX as a side project. And he is doing this on a Raspberry Pi. So it's not that he's using a full-blown powerful computer. No, he's just doing this on a Raspberry Pi in his living room, and creating amazing things. He has recreated Minecraft in Java FX just as a side project, full 3D world. So yeah, it is a full PC. I keep repeating it. It's not a play toy. And it exists, I think, over 10 years. So it evolved also a lot. It's really a powerful device nowadays.
Yeah, you know, we always have to remember that, right? That you know, I think I can say this for me and you, Frank. But when we started, you know, something like a Raspberry Pi would be running the whole world of software, right? It was not even a single company, right? A Raspberry Pi would probably be able to run all the software in the world when we started, right?
Yeah. You're also of the generation that you had to type over programs from a magazine to learn to program. That's the days where we started.
Right, yes.
And music tapes with programs.
So one of my memories that I have in typing software from a magazine was that, you know, I had to type assembler codes from a magazine, right? Like pages and pages of assembler code in a magazine, and then you type it. And I remember one time, you know, I didn't understand assembler enough to actually debug it, right? So there was one time that we, you know, it was me and my friend, and we typed the whole thing, and it did not work, right? And so we went back and we, you know, check and recheck, and it was we're missing something, you know, something. And then like a month later, when the new edition of the magazine comes up, right, then they come with you know a fix, right, because they printed it wrong on the magazine. And so
I've done the Commodore 64 stuff. That was my generation.
Cool. Yes, exactly. Okay, so Bazlur showed up here, right? So Bazlur is a contributor of you know, of Fujay, right? So hey Bazlur, how you doing, man? Good to be here.
Amazing content already, yeah.
Yeah, so Bazlur is always sharing good content there. That's great. All right. Okay, guys. So, you know, we're getting to the top of the hour here. I'm not sure how much time Frank has. So if you have any more questions that we didn't answer here, that we didn't talk yet, that's the right time for you to mention. You know, it wouldn't be a bad idea, Frank. Let me just kind of pull up Twitter here. Actually, I'm just going to pull up the JSpring website. How about we do that? So we can actually have the JSpring conference. Oh, actually, I had it already open here, so I'm opening it again. All right. So so me and Frank are going to be speaking at the JSpring conference. So share the screen right there, and put it here. All right. So we're going to be in JSpring. That's the conference from the NLJUG from the Netherlands, right? There's still time for you to get tickets if you're somewhere around there. So we're going to be competing in a way, right, with Andres, right? Andres is going to be speaking there. You know, this me and Frank. So me and Frank, we got side by side on the website. That's pretty cool. So it's like it was done for this presentation here, Frank. Actually, all we need to do is zoom in, right, and then we can just announce this oops, announce this stage right here. Okay. Anyway, but that's me and Frank are gonna be there. We're gonna be competing with Andres. Who else is gonna go? Ixchel is gonna be there, and Hubbard, right? So it's gonna be the same time is gonna be a presentation from Hubbard, from Ixchel, Frank, Bruno, and Andres, right? So that's the competition that we're gonna have at the event, but there's also all kinds of amazing speakers there. So if you can come, join us, lots of sponsors. So, and not only that, right? So this is just going to be a start of of our Europe tour, right? So I'm going to be in, so starting on the 20th of June, I'm going to do the, let me see if I can get everyone, right? Oh man, what's the first one? It's,
I don't know the exact order, but you'll also be in Belgium.
I'll be in Belgium. Yes. So I forgot the name of the city. That where J Spring happens, right? I forgot the name of the city.
In Utrecht. Utrecht in the Netherlands.
Yeah, it's just blank out. So Utrecht, I'm gonna be on Utrecht Jug on the 20th, and then on J Spring on the 21st, and then on JCon in Cologne on the 22nd. And then from there, I'm going to do Munich, and then Rome, Milan. I'm going to be in Crete, and then I go to Belgium, to Brussels, to the Belgian Jug, and then I go to GA Ibiza. In Ibiza, there's going to be an unconference, and then from there, I travel to Birmingham in UK, and then Manchester, and then I'm going to see Igor in Dublin Jug. And then I go to Portugal with Otávio, where we visit the Lisbon Jug, and I think the Coimbra Jug also is going to be there. So, I'm going to be in all those places in Europe, and for 30 days, I'm going to be visiting whoever is there in Europe. So if you can see me any of those places, I'll be very happy to be there with you. And if you can't see me in all those places, so let me give my book here, right? So you put your book, let me put mine too, right? So if you can't see me there, let me leave you here with my book, The Best Developer Year, right? So so the way I explain this book is that I have, for all my years growing my career, you had some question about growing career here. For all my years growing my career, I put together a process that I use, right? Sometimes multiple times a year to figure out my next step. So if anyone is interested, you can just download for free. I put all my process into this book to make it very easy for you to think about and plan your career, plan your next steps. So you can do that. So if anyone is interested, the book's right there, and it's completely free. And once you download the book, you get an email from me. So you have my contacts also. If there's any questions here that we did not answer, please, you can just reply to that, and you can do that. All right. Oh, let me tell you this. I've been sharing this screen here, but I have never noticed that. Actually, Restring tells me that someone scanned the code, right? So thanks someone that scanned the code. So that's good. All right, cool guys. So it's awesome to be here with you. So Frank, is there anything else you want to talk about? Do you want to say? I don't see any more questions, so I think we answered everything.
I think so. Looking forward to the conference, definitely. And seeing and telling this story in real life.
Right. And really, thank you everyone that tested Frank's experiment here, right? He was wondering if that's going to work or not in the conference. I'm sure he works in your machine right now, Frank. I'm not sure in the conference.
I'm more confident. I'm not completely sure, but I'm more confident.
Okay, awesome. So APR is saying thank you. And then, APR is saying thank you. Danielle is saying good. Frank. Oh, that's Frank. So, all right. All right, guys. Thanks very much. Raymond. Thanks, Raymond. That's cool. All right, guys. It was great having a conversation. Frank, thanks a lot for being here. For all Frank's channels, thanks for you guys watching here. For everyone from my channels, thanks for being here. We are here for you. If you need anything, you can ping any of us. We can help you.
Okay. Have a nice day.
All right. Thanks, everyone.